What if some of the things we do out of love are actually making life harder for our dogs? Not because we're bad owners, not because we don't care, but because we're seeing the world through human eyes instead of theirs. Every day, dogs are communicating with us, not through words, but through body language, through routines, through small signals that are easy to miss if you don't know what to look for. The strange thing is that most dogs spend their entire lives trying to tell us the same things over and over again. And most of us never realize it. We feed them. We walk them. We buy them toys. We do everything we can to make them happy. Yet sometimes the things dogs need most have nothing to do with food, exercise, or training. Sometimes what they need most is simply to be understood. In this video, we're going to explore 5 common mistakes many loving dog owners make without realizing it. Some of them may surprise you. One of them might completely change the way you see your dog forever. But before we continue, if you enjoy learning about dog psychology, behavior, and the hidden meaning behind the things dogs do every day, consider subscribing to Canine Connection. Because the more we learn to see the world through our dog's eyes, the deeper that connection becomes. Now, let's start with something many dogs wish their owners understood long before a big change arrives. There is something we do to dogs all the time that we would never do to someone we love. We change their entire world without warning. A new baby arrives. A family member moves away. A new pet joins the household. We move to a different home. Our work schedule suddenly changes. Or we leave for a trip and someone else takes care of them. For us, these changes come with context. We know what's happening. We have time to prepare. We understand why things are changing, but your dog doesn't. One day, life feels familiar. The next day, everything is different. And they have no way to understand why. No way to ask questions. No way to know whether the change is temporary or permanent. All they know is that the world they trusted suddenly feels unfamiliar. And for dogs, familiarity is deeply connected to safety. That's why major changes can affect them more than many owners realize. You may notice changes in their sleep, their appetite, their energy, or the way they follow you around the house. Not because they're being difficult, but because they're trying to make sense of a world that suddenly feels uncertain. The good news is that you don't need to explain everything in words. You simply need to help them prepare. Keep familiar routines whenever possible. Give them time to explore new environments. Stay patient during periods of transition. And most importantly, remain a source of stability when everything else feels different. Because when your dog's world begins to change, they look to you for reassurance. And sometimes, the greatest gift you can give them isn't preventing change. It's helping them feel safe while it happens. This may be the most important thing your dog wants you to understand. Because your dog has a voice, not a human voice, a canine one. And they're using it every single day. The problem is that most people never learn how to hear it. Dogs don't say no with words. They say it with body language, a slight turn of the head, a lip lick, a yawn that seems to come out of nowhere, a step backward, a body that suddenly becomes stiff instead of relaxed. These aren't random behaviors. They're messages. They're your dog's way of saying, "I'm uncomfortable. Not right now. Please, slow down." But here's where things often go wrong. A child wants to hug the dog. The dog turns away. The owner says, "It's okay. He loves hugs." A stranger reaches toward the dog's face. The dog leans back. The interaction continues. A grooming session becomes overwhelming. The dog is clearly uncomfortable. But because the task needs to be finished, nobody stops to listen. And every time this happens, your dog learns something. Their communication doesn't work. The signals they send don't change the outcome. So eventually, many dogs stop trying to communicate politely. Not because they want conflict, but because the quiet signals were ignored. That's why respecting your dog's boundaries is so important. A dog that feels heard doesn't need to escalate. They don't need to growl. They don't need to snap. They don't need to shut down emotionally, because they trust that the smallest signal is enough. And perhaps that's all your dog has ever wanted. Not a perfect owner, not a professional trainer, just someone willing to listen when they say, "No, thank you." Because a dog who feels safe enough to say no is a dog who truly trusts you. You know this moment. Your dog has done something they shouldn't have. Maybe they chewed a shoe, knocked something over, or grabbed food from the table. You discover the mess, turn around, and immediately look at them. Your expression changes. Your voice becomes firmer, and without realizing it, you lock eyes with them. Most people think they're communicating disappointment, but your dog may be experiencing something very different. In the canine world, a long, hard stare is rarely friendly. It's often used as a warning, a challenge, a signal that tension is building. That's why many dogs react the same way when they're caught doing something wrong. They freeze. Their ears move back. Their head lowers. Their eyes look upward. Many owners call this the guilty face. But what if it isn't guilt at all? What if your dog isn't saying, "I know I did something wrong"? What if they're saying, "Please don't be upset. I don't want conflict. I'm trying to make this stop"? Because that's often what these behaviors mean. They're calming signals, attempts to reduce tension and avoid confrontation. Over time, repeated confrontational interactions can affect trust. Not because your dog stops loving you, but because they become less certain about what happens when they make a mistake. The good news is that the solution is simple. Instead of staring, redirect. Instead of creating pressure, guide them calmly toward a better choice. Because the dog you want, the one who feels relaxed around you, the one who seeks you out, the one who trusts you completely, can only thrive when they feel safe looking into your eyes. This may seem like a small thing, but to your dog, it can mean a lot. Imagine you're sitting quietly when your dog slowly walks over. They sniff your hand, your clothes. Sometimes, they gently touch their nose against you. Most owners immediately reach out and start petting them. It feels natural, but your dog may have come for a different reason. Dogs gather information through scent, far more information than most people realize. That quiet moment is often a check-in, a way of understanding how you're feeling, whether you're relaxed, stressed, or simply different than usual. So the next time your dog comes over like this, try something different. Stay still for a moment, let them sniff, let them finish, then respond. You may notice your dog relax beside you, lean against you, or simply walk away satisfied, because they completed what they came to do. And sometimes, the strongest connections are built not when we're interacting with our dogs, but when we're simply allowing them to understand us. Your dog doesn't need you to be perfect. They don't expect you to always be patient or always know the right thing to do. What they need is something much simpler. They need consistency. Dogs find comfort in routines, in familiar voices, in knowing what to expect from the people they trust. That's why even small moments matter. The way you greet them in the morning, the way you respond when they make a mistake, the way you show up for them day after day. Because when your dog knows who you're going to be, they can finally relax. And a dog that feels safe enough to relax is a dog that can truly trust. At the end of the day, your dog doesn't need more toys, more treats, or more commands. What they need most is to feel understood. To know that when they communicate, someone is listening. When they feel uncertain, someone is there. When they need space, someone respects it. And when their world begins to change, someone helps them feel safe. Because for their entire life, your dog has been trying to understand you, your routines, your emotions, your voice. Maybe it's time we made the same effort for them. And if there's one thing to remember from today's video, it's this. Your dog doesn't need a perfect owner. They just need someone willing to listen.